I like a weird watch, something that makes you stop and think, who on earth thought this was a good idea? Maybe it's an oddball design, maybe it's a complication so pointless it should come with an imitation notice, or maybe it's a movement that looks like it was assembled by someone who just discovered they have opposable thumbs. Whatever the case, I'm always interested. So when a brand called Geya got in touch about reviewing a space-inspired tourbillon-style watch, I was intrigued. And yes, get the childish sniggering out the way. The brand might sound like a slur said by a 12-year-old having a hissy fit over a questionable goal conceded in a school PE lesson, but let's get over it. Now, space-inspired usually means a starry dial and some marketing waffle about infinity. But add the word tourbillon, and suddenly we're talking Elon Musk levels of ambition. Ridiculous, expensive, probably unnecessary, and undeniably entertaining to watch. So is this going to be a horological equivalent of a Falcon 9 rocket, or is it destined to burn up on re-entry? Let's find out. If prizes were given out for presentation, this thing will be taking home gold. The box is huge. You could probably live in it if the watch turned out terrible. Slide off the sleeve and inside you get the watch, a spare rubber strap and, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, a little astronaut ornament. No idea why it's there, but I love it. It's cool. But it is the kind of pointless extra that makes you question if they didn't think the watch alone was enough. Now, the watch itself. Yes, it's weird. No, it won't be for everyone. And yes, it bears more than a passing resemblance to a certain watch by a jeweller cum convicted felon. But as a piece of wearable art, it absolutely looks the part, provided you actually like the part. For me, it's the polar opposite of what I usually enjoy in a watch. It's loud, flashy, and practically waving its arms around shouting, "Notice me." And that's fine if you want your wrist to double as a distress flare, but personally, I prefer something that doesn't feel like it's auditioning for a rap video. But that's just my taste, not criticism. Well, mostly my taste. That said, there's no denying this thing has presence. The dial is busy, theatrical, and immediately grabs your attention. It looks like a high-value piece, and looks, in this case, are doing frankly an Olympian amount of heavy lifting. But we'll get to that later, because first, the basics. 46mm across, 55mm lug to lug, and about 22mm thick, including that Hume atmospheric dome masquerading as a crystal. So yes, it's big, like enough to throw off your wrist centre of gravity big. Inside is what Geya calls a dual-core flywheel movement, which basically means stuff spins, don't ask questions. Stainless steel case, 50 metres water resistance, leather strap with deployant clasp, a spare rubber one in the box, and you get to pick between silver or rose gold, or as I call them, understated bling, and full Dubai prints with his own house tiger and helipad bling. And the price? Currently on offer for a smidge under £530. It's a fair whack of money, so is it worth it? The case of the Geya Planetary Flywheel is a substantial piece of work. It's stainless steel and fully polished, giving it a look that feels a little fussy. A little brushing to the sides and lugs would have probably made it look slightly more premium. The overall effect is a shiny, solid presence that feels deliberately weighty. The lugs are extremely downward curved, helping it sit on the wrist much better than it should despite the size. The crystal is domed and reflective, sitting above the bezel and cutouts, which gives the dial a sense of height and dimension. In addition to the crystal are the side cutout windows. They aren't something you notice straight away, but they let you see parts of the dial and the flywheel from different angles. It's subtle, but it adds depth and makes the watch feel slightly more interactive than a normal slab of metal and glass. And the back is even more unconventional. Instead of a traditional crown, there's a winding wheel on the rear to power the flywheel. Using it feels a bit like one of those old clockwork toy cars from your childhood. Tactile, mechanical, and just slightly nostalgic. Especially for those of us working class lads who got their uncle's hand-me-down toys in the early 80s. Next to the winding wheel is a small push button for setting the time. It's discreet, but it completely changes the interaction. No twisting crown, no familiar motions, just a wheel and a button which give the watch a very gadget-like character. It's clear that Geya was aiming for something unusual here, not just a different look, but a different experience. And that button gives away that this isn't a pure mechanical movement, but something a bit more hybrid in nature, though we'll come back to that later. For now, it's enough to say there's more going on under the surface than first meets the eye. I actually quite like the gimmicky bits on this. The winding wheel and push button make interacting with this watch feel completely different. It turns something as mundane as setting the time into a bit of a satisfying ritual. The style and size aren't really my cup of tea. It's bold, heavy, and a bit much for me, but those quirks do give it character. Handling it feels a bit like playing with a grown-up toy you found in a drawer. It's not for me, it's a little intimidating, but I'm weirdly interested in how it works. The dial is a lot. The flywheel at 12 o'clock dominates the middle, spinning continuously and drawing your eye immediately. Around it are multiple concentric discs, raised rings and overlapping layers that give the whole thing a surprising depth. Tilt it even slightly and the reflections, shadow and movement make it feel almost alive, like a tiny mechanical theatre you carry around. The time is read on a raised ring at 9 o'clock. The raised indices and the polished sword-shaped hands manage to stay readable over all the activity below. They have a little bit of loom applied, but as you can expect, it's hardly enough to even write in the specs. However, the dial base is anything but straightforward. The backing is made of hundreds of tiny glass crystals. It's very blingy and very sparkly. It looks spectacular from afar, but it can distract your eye a little, making it harder to notice the finer details of the dial. The small second subdial is a 3D globe, visually brilliant and spinning like a miniature planet. Though the movement is jerky enough to remind you that this watch was built for theatre over precision. And yes, it does have a slight R2-D2 vibe, which somehow makes it even more endearing. It's playful, slightly absurd, and definitely draws your attention. The domed crystal above amplifies the sense of height, while the side cutouts in the case let you see the dial from unusual angles. Peek through them and you'll catch glimpses of mechanical layers beneath, which makes the watch feel like it's more than just a flat display. The flywheel takes centre stage, endlessly spinning, knowing full well it serves no practical purpose. And so, the movement, or movements I should say, a Swiss quartz handles the actual timekeeping with the precision expected of this type of movement, while the mechanical side powers the flywheel and the 3D seconds globe. So yes, the flywheel and globe are purely ornamental. The watch is very much form over function, visually amazing and entertaining, but once you dig a little deeper, you realise that some of it is entirely for show, and yet, despite that, it's oddly compelling to interact with. You find yourself watching it, tilting it, winding the back, pressing the button, engaging in the watch in ways you normally wouldn't. On the wrist it's clearly a big watch, no escaping that, but it doesn't weigh quite as enormous as the 55mm lug-to-lug figure suggests. The sharply angled lugs help it hug the wrist surprisingly well. The leather strap is soft straight out the box and moulds to the wrist easily, and the deployant clasp feels solid, locking in place with a reassuring click rather than a hopeful one. For something this large, it's genuinely comfortable. That said, it's still far too big for me. No amount of ergonomic trickery is going to change that. Would I buy it? No. Not at £530 and not at £53. It's just not a watch I'd reach for. But whether it's worth the asking price really depends on what you value. You can't deny that a lot has gone into this thing. Most of it looks custom made, not lifted from a parts bin. And that Tourbillon-esque flywheel does add some spectacle, even if it's all just for show. If you're someone who loves bold, space-age, over-the-top designs, you'll probably enjoy it. It's dramatic, unusual, and it's clearly been built to impress. Just maybe not me. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.